everybody, and welcome to Dryer Days Art Studio. I'm Catherine, and I'm so happy to have you here. This is the piece I'm going to be working on today, and I wanted to share with you some of my inspiration of how I got here. So these are pictures of a place called Diamond Beach in Iceland, and I've watched a couple shows based in Iceland, and I also follow somebody on Instagram who recently went to Iceland and was actually on these black sand beaches with these giant chunks of ice on the black sand, and the water just looked amazing. And so I wanted to give it a try. So all the pictures you just saw there I found actually on Pinterest. And I find a lot of inspiration on Pinterest actually. You can find different color palettes and stuff on there if you're having some artist block on what colors you want to use. You just need some inspiration. And preparing some colors that I want to use. And I know it can be a little bit tedious, maybe some extra work here to lay down these colors, but you're prepping your boards to have a beautiful background because sometimes the resin is a little bit translucent and you can see through. And so I just like to make sure that my background is really solid and it's the colors that I'm at least aiming for. Doesn't have to be exact, but then this way too, I sort of know where I want to lay down my resin colors, because with the resin, it can get a little dicey sometimes when it's starting to harden up and you have your pigments there and you want to make sure you're getting everything just right and you have a limited amount of time. Whereas here I can take my time a little bit more, plan out where I want those colors, and really get a beautiful color scheme going. This portion where I'm laying down my sand and the ice chunks and all of that texture, I am saving for a special bonus episode for my patrons over on patreon.com/dryerdays. So if you are a patron of mine on that $5 tier or higher, you will get bonus content from this video explaining how I got the beautiful textured sand look, where I got my products, what I used for my ice chunks, and so on. So if you'd like to check that out, please go on over to www.patreon.com/dryerdays and become a patron of mine. I would so appreciate it. And then you get extra bonuses like that. And speaking of Patreon, I want to thank my contributors this part of the month, and that is Laura from Laura's Art Corner. Thank you, Laura, so much. And to my friend Tammy, thank you so much, and I hope to see more of you guys over there. Thank you. For this piece, I am trying out a new resin called Faux Rizzle Resin, and I'm pretty excited to try this brand out. I have noticed it for a while on Instagram, and I wanted to give it a try, so that is what I'm using here. And I'm using several different pigments. Faux Rizzle also has some mica pigments, so I am using their pigment called Alaska, which is just beautiful. It's a metallic blue, and it turns out almost like a teal turquoise, like a light turquoise color, so it's very, very pretty. I am using Ocean by Artisan Pigments. I am also going to be using Angel White by Res Expressions, which is my absolute favorite white to use. Now, I did also bring in some of the paint colors that I used in the beginning. So if you can look there on the right hand side of the screen, there are two pouches of pigments, and then right below there's a little cup there with a lid on it. So I had extra paint left over from when I was prepping the board, and it's that darker kind of blue-gray color, and I put that into that little container with a cover so it would stay nice and fresh. And I will actually add that into one of these little cups, and there I go right there. And I wanted some nice deep dark colors. I couldn't find a lot of colors of the ocean on Diamond Beach Island. A lot of pictures of the black sand and the ice chunks, but I couldn't really find a lot of aerial photos of the color of the ocean. And so I knew I wanted it to sort of be a darker feel. Every time I see pictures up of that area, it just seems sort of overcast and darker, but deep hues. Definitely not that muted out. So that's what I'm trying to achieve here. And I do end up coming and doing a second layer of colors for the ocean. And I've had people ask me before, like, why so many layers? Why? It just seems like a waste of resin. And it can be sometimes, you know, and I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for other artists, but if I have this image in my mind of what I'm going for and I don't get it with that first layer of resin, I have to come in and do a second layer. I mean, I can't leave it a way that I don't like or isn't part of my inspiration. And the nice thing about resin is, in between these colors and pigmented resins, I can add clear resin, so part of that underneath layer is showing through, and it just gives such a lovely dimensional look to these pieces. That's part of the reason I love resin so much, is you can layer it that way and see the layers below and get these almost dimensional looking pieces. As you can see here, I'm coming in with clear and mixing that in because you can get beautiful effects that way too. I will come in with my hand and kind of blend it all together, move it around to get the entire board covered, and I'll let you watch that and I will go quiet. I did want to add some ribbons of lighter color in here because from the pictures that I saw, there was that dimension of maybe the light hitting the ocean or just lighter pockets in the water. And that's where I am coming in with that Alaska hue by Faux Rizzle, and I'm also coming in with a pigment called Mermaid by Les Expressions. They are both gorgeous. I do end up coming in with the second layer and doing a little bit more with the Mermaid hue. I had never used the Mermaid before, and it's this gorgeous metallic, but also almost has this extra fine glitter to it and just gives such a beautiful effect. I'm gonna try to get a video clip of it with like my camera light flashing right on it, because it's so hard to pick some of these beautiful shiny glitter metallic additives in here. I was taking the completed pictures in an overcast, rainy, cloudy day, and so I might wait a day to publish this video just so that I can maybe get a sunny day and capture the beautiful glitters in here. But this is just still my first layer that I'm working on. I will take you to that second layer here. I decided that I wanted a darker, deeper blue in here, and I could not even tell you what it was that I used because I mixed a bunch of pigments and even a little bit of the midnight black paste in to give it a really deep look. And then I did ribbon in that Mermaid again. as well as a little bit of Alaska. And so here is that part still wet. I have only done 2 beach pieces, and I use the Angel White by Lorez Expressions every time. I'm so sorry about my head popping in here and my hair just being a mess. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry, and that's all I can say. A more detailed explanation of how I make my waves for the last piece that I did, which was the Bahama pink sand beach inspired pieces. I did 2 of them in a previous video. If you click the lowercase I up in the upper right hand corner right now, you can get a link to that video. They're 2 rounds that I did with pink sand beaches inspired by Harbor Island in the Bahamas, and they're some of my favorite pieces that I've ever done. And but the technique that I used to get the white waves, I did sort of like a texture building technique to get the waves in that, and that's the same thing I'm doing here. If again you're a patron of mine, there is exclusive content for my patrons of the $5 tier and up for how I did those waves, and I'm using that same technique here. The Diamond Beach is a strip of black sand belonging to the greater, I'm not going to be able to say this word, it's a glacial plain that is located on the south coast of Iceland. And I'm getting this on a Guide to Iceland website, all this information, and it says, here the icebergs which fill the glacier lagoon wash up on shore, standing dazzling and defiant in stark contrast to the black sand beach. It is therefore a favorite amongst photographers, nature lovers, and wildlife enthusiasts. Many seals call this beach home, and it is one of the best places in the country to see orcas from the shore. Such sand plains are a common part of the Icelandic landscape due to the island being volcanically active, as well as boasting numerous ice caps. The Glacier Lagoon and Diamond Beach are fantastical sights. However, the rate at their expansion is, unfortunately, a consequence of climate change. With the rate that the glaciers are melting, there may be no ice left at either site within decades. The second wave here, which I'm time-lapsing, and I will come in and do a third, which I did not record. I really love how this piece came out. I'm hoping I can get some really beautiful images of it in the sunlight. I got a bunch in an overcast rainy day, but we'll have to see. Hopefully, and I'll share a bunch of pictures and video clips of this over on my Instagram. So please come find me on Instagram at Drier Days. I love all the pigments and pastes that I used in this piece. I encourage you guys to check out Faux Rizzle Resin. They are also on Instagram at Faux Rizzle. Thank you all so much for watching and continuing to support my channel. I appreciate it so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everybody, keep on pouring.